Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Griffin. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud. All right, let's get straight to it. I'm real excited for tonight's episode. Once again, episode 3 here, Nickel City Crew. We're in the building. Again, joining me, my new co-host and the co-host of Nickel City Crew, Adam Dump Truck Rupczyk. What's up, DT? Holla at the people. What's up, man? Holla at the crew.
Hey, we're back. We're back. Had a nice little week off here, getting through this preseason, and excited. Another week closer. Another week.
It's so exciting, to be honest, DT. And to be honest, half of the excitement for me comes from the fact that preseason is almost over for the starters. Nothing really else can be gained from the preseason for the starters to be out there. And obviously the Bills know that. So they'll get a chance to hang it up for this last preseason game, which I'll be attending down here in Charlotte as the Bills come to Carolina for week 3.
Right in your backyard, huh?
Right
nice.
In my backyard. So it'll be nice.
Taking the fam out, going to be a good night, Friday night?
Absolutely. I'm actually taking the fam out, like you just said. Quincy will be going, my baby. He's 3 now. He'll be going to his first game ever. And I'm really excited about that. His brothers are excited about it. So we can't wait to kind of get in the stadium and cheer on the Bills, even though it'll be the backups. And that kind of leads me back to my point that I'm so happy, DT, that, McDermott kept the team healthy as best as he could. I'm more of the Sean McVay proponent that you don't even play any of the guys because of what happened to Zach Wilson. I don't think that it's even necessary to even, run that risk. But we came out, knock on wood, Bills fans, Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew, we came out healthy, DT.
Yeah, I mean, we took the preseason really how we should. Coming into camp, a lot of question marks, but high expectations, and for the most part, lived up to those expectations. Stayed as healthy as you really could. Obviously, had a few people hit, but nothing that's going to be too serious as we leak into the year here. And as this roster is getting cut down, I think the guys that we thought would be on this team are going to be, and we're inching closer to that. And yeah, like you said, health, main thing. I think we did a good job overall, top to bottom in this preseason. Obviously, still a little ways to go, but at this point, you're just coasting into that September 8th game.
Yeah, you really are. The offense itself, obviously, Josh wasn't out there too long, and I'm happy about that. But what an absolute rope that he threw to Gabriel Davis. I was at the barbershop with the boys, and I couldn't help but yell, even though it was preseason, you know what I mean? Because it's just, It's so fun to watch him. And I know it doesn't matter, and I know it doesn't count or anything like that, but watching his talent, watching the things that he can do in the pocket, and then with his arm ability, and then obviously we all know about outside of the pocket as well. But that specific play was a nice little pirouette in the backfield. He got away from the defenders. There was 2 guys close to him. Nobody was getting ready to hurt him or hitting him in the knees or anything, but they were closing the pocket. And then the way he just flicked the ball, I could not help but just yell out in the barbershop. Even, you know what I mean? And
really?
it just happened so naturally that it didn't matter that it was preseason. I was yelling at the fact of the precision and the actual talent. I mean, 17, we gotta be, man. It makes me smile, man.
17's addictive, isn't he? You don't see him for a few months. You don't see him for a few months, and then all of a sudden, it just takes three passes. 3 passes off his back foot, 35-yard strike. Get to know about it. Get to know about what this year is about to be about. So, that's what and then I catch myself watching that replay over and over. Like you said, it's just preseason, but just that pure talent, that flick of the wrist, and a 13 who he's going to be finding a lot this year. So I'm excited for that too. And it just gets me more pumped, man.
It does. It really does. And obviously, there's some other things that we could take out of the preseason. We saw obviously that Blackshear has kind of created a couple waves. I don't know that he's going to make this team, but obviously if the Bills can slide him through in the practice squad, they will. Maybe he has an opportunity to jump on and latch on to another NFL roster. So I wish him the best, because I just don't know if there's room for him on this team. And then kind of going down the list, Taylor Austin, obviously released today. We see Cody Ford traded. That's probably Brandon Beans to this point his biggest missed. DT is
what do you like on? Yeah, what do you like on on that
Well,
trade
I
because we
mean, I like
got
the fact that he was able to recoup something. It
yeah.
doesn't make me feel good that he
I was
traded up.
surprised with the fifth, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'll give him credit that I was happy. And maybe, I don't know much about Arizona up front on their O line. So maybe they have a need and there's some guys that are banged up in their camp as they approach their first game in a couple weeks. So I'm not exactly sure why they gave up the 5th round pick for a guy that probably wasn't going to make the team. But so kudos to Brandon Beat on that. But
Yeah.
again, it's another reminder: don't trade up for draft picks if you can avoid it. We're coming through a crossroads right now with Savage, Tremaine Edmonds, and he's kind of splitting the fan base on his value and what is he worth it. One of the main things is that we traded up to get we traded back into the 1st round to select him. So there's a little bit of added pressure on a GM when you have a player like that, because you want to see him succeed naturally, because that's the support of your pick. That was your choice. You know what I mean? So, or your
Sure.
support of your staff. So it's always interesting to see when those relationships end. Obviously, Brandon Bean, that's probably one of the biggest myths, I would say, so far in his tenure.
Yeah, and one of the few, and not a lot of them as you look up and down the board and the things he's been able to do inside the drafts too. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. He never
Mhm.
really had that vibe, never really had that fit. Always potential that he just couldn't be living up into. And at this point, he was going to have a really really good showing to even sniff the roster. So great move by Bean, and all best of luck to Cody Ford and his family. It wasn't the right place, right time for him.
Well, yeah. Well, best of luck to him, and obviously all the Bills that were cut today, and hopefully they get a chance to latch on and their careers continue. But as we get closer to cutting down to the 53-man roster next week, we've got to have an intervention. It's the name of this episode. So the reason I needed to have this episode, and it's perfect timing, because we are coming up on a meaningless preseason game where it's just most valuable to the second and third string guys that are fighting for their jobs, and hopefully they all have an opportunity to stay healthy and get out there and kind of put on their best down here in Charlotte when they come to play the Panthers. Other than that, my eyes have shifted to the regular season, DT, and I suggest that Bills Mafia and Nickel City Crew, that we all start to kind of get with the program a little bit. So I thought that it was important to have an intervention. This is not for anything to be pessimistic. This is not anything to rain on your parade or anything like that. The purpose of tonight's episode was to make sure that we keep perspective, make sure that we keep everything realistic. When everybody's patting you on the back, when everybody is telling you how great you are, it is easy to get a big head. And I think that Bills fans have gotten a big head over this offseason, and why not? We deserve it. What fan base deserves getting a chance to puff out their chest more than us? I spoke about it at the end of season 1. Puff out your chest. You have a good team. You should feel confident in the fact that you have a good team. Vegas says that we're the Super Bowl favorites. We've already went over this, Nickel City Crew. It doesn't mean that anything. It doesn't mean that we're going to win the Super Bowl just because Vegas thought that we are the best favorite to do it. Obviously, it's still only like a 12, 13, 14% chance that you'll do it, or whatever the odds are. The whole point is that they think that you have the best chance to do it. So you should be, have some bravado with that. You should have some pride with that. The one thing I want to caution everybody to do is please take a look at your schedule. I'll give you a second to bring it up. And when you bring up that schedule, this episode is specifically for those first 7 games of the season. The Bills will close out the 7th game of the season right before Halloween on the 30th of October at home under the lights, Sunday Night Football against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, that'll be coming off a bye week, and we'll actually go through all these games. So the first 7 games of the season, the reason that we have a mark of demarcation on this is the fact that afterwards the schedule lightens up quite a bit, DT. It lightens up to the point where it's not worthy of an entire episode. The first 7 games are so daunting, and they are so important for the success or failure of this 2022 Bill season that I wanted to kind of take a fine comb through it. So we all know we're getting ready to kick off the NFL season against the Super Bowl champions, the defending Super Bowl champions, the LA Rams, out there at SoFi Stadium. What a beautiful stadium. Look at it when they do those wide shots, Bills fans. Maybe we can get a stadium that looks a little bit similar or has some of those features where we're kind of, surrounded from the elements. What a beautiful edifice they have out there. Let's go through it, DT. I had it
I'm
down, and
excited.
you were
I'm
on the.
excited.
I'm excited it too, but I
Yeah,
had it
this
down as a
is
loss, and I did. So we'll literally start, and we'll go 0-0, and let's go through these 7 games for the Nickel
yeah.
City Crew, and let's go through it for Bills Mafia, because I think that it's important to have perspective. And this is not going to be a cakewalk 15-1 15-2 season, excuse me. I know we got 17 games now. I don't think it's going to be that kind of cakewalk. Now, I know some people do think that, but let's be critical about the Bills and their opponents, more importantly, as we go through this. Week 1, you have the defending Super Bowl champs. I know they're minus
Mhm.
OBJ and Von Miller, but they still have a team. What's I mean, it
Yeah.
could be a coin flip. Talk to me.
Huge night, a lot of hype. I mean, you're going to be in there as much hype as you're coming in as the Super Bowl favorite. You're playing the
Mhm,
Super Bowl champs,
mhm.
like you said, at their house. So there's going to be a sense of pride and swagger they're carrying in there as well. They're not looking to drop that game, on national everything, not just
Mhm.
national TV. And
Everything, yeah, the whole
but
everybody watching.
it's going to be a tough test. I mean, it's going to be the fastest offense this defense has seen at game speed. Even through the preseason, these young guys are going to, get known real quick. What it's like to be in the NFL out there. But you still keeping this one as a loss?
Listen, I'm thinking about the fact that Dane Jackson will be sitting out there on the outside against Cooper Kupp, and
Yeah.
then I'm gotta think about whoever is going to win that number 2 role. Would that be Kyer Elam? Would it be Christian Benford? Is it gonna be another guy? I don't know. I know
Well,
that
I
Dane
think until 2-7's back, you got to think all these guys are going to be playing significantly. Running through almost committee style. I would think.
Okay, so they might do a approach where they just kinda roll these guys in and out.
Hmm.
Okay. If
Yeah,
that's the
keep them.
case with Taron Johnson at the nickel spot, I just think that it's a tall task. I'm going to keep it a
Mhm.
loss because, again, I'm trying to keep things real. I picked 13-4, and maybe that's even being, a little bit ambitious, and that's fine. I mean, I think that the number 1 seed can be had for 12-5, 13-4. So I feel confident sitting in that space. But as we go through these first 7, like, you could look at the
Yeah.
schedule basically, and we'll get to the end of this, and we're going to ask Bills fans and Bills Mafia, Nickel City crew on the actual poll, would you take 4-3, and we'll go through it. But as we go, so I'm keeping it a loss. I'm going to say that the Bills are 0-1 to start the season. Are you going
Okay.
opposite way
Um,
for
I'm
me?
gonna, I'm gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna agree with that. I
All
think,
right.
I think we come out. I think this hype carries over into this. Last year was a disappointing week 1 game,
Yeah.
and then there was a lot of hype going into that as well. Home Steelers, and they laid a dud basically.
Hmm.
So I think that's obviously on the mind of everybody too. I don't think they go back to back opening duds. I think it's gonna be a great game. I think they get it done. I'll reverse you. We're 1-0.
All right, no problem. So we've got 1-0 on DT side. I'm going to say 0-1. Next game of the season. Okay, we've got the Bills going up against the Titans. Obviously, the home opener. It's a sore subject for me, DT. There is a stronger than 90% chance that I am going to have to miss the home opener due to work,
Oh
and
man.
I am sick to my stomach about it. So I don't even like talking about it too much. But
Okay.
what
Okay.
a night! What a night that is going to be for
Oh
the
man.
Bills. Regardless if, listen, in either scenario, in my scenario, we're 0-1, we're fiending for that first win. In your scenario, the roof is already getting ready to rock off. Monday Night
Yeah.
Football, home
Sure.
opener. I mean, look, if that doesn't show you the respect that the Bills have gotten, you know what I mean? And the impact of 17 and the impact really of winning on a franchise and what it can mean to win. When you start winning, the cameras start coming. And
Mhm.
boy, are we not shining that night, DT.
Yeah. I can't wait. And man, I'm really sorry to hear that. That opener is always a good time for us to
It's a holiday.
rekindle,
It's
get
a bill. It's a
rolling, and
holiday.
but understand there's a lot of meat left on the bone. So we'll definitely make up for it. But yeah, I mean the entered
That
two
game
years in a row.
specifically is something else, man. Look at that game, man.
2
That's not.
years in a row,
Mhm.
Tennessee, has hey, they whooped you in the COVID year.
Okay.
Absolutely tore them up in Tennessee there. It was kind of a BS game in the middle of the week, got rescheduled, blah, 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 whatever. But then last year, lights were on, an AFC team you had to compete with for that number 1 seed late in the playoffs, and
Mhm.
they had a chance to win it down the stretch and just couldn't get it done. Game inches for sure, but really didn't stop Tennessee at all last year. So
Mhm.
I think the defense is really something to prove. The offense has played solid, against this I'd say
Titans
mediocre at
defense.
best
Mhm,
Tennessee defense. So
mhm.
but I think with that energy, with win or lose on that Thursday night game, the home opener, something different.
Sure
A
is.
little scare gets into my head thinking that Thursday night home opener a couple years back with the Jets, Fitzpatrick came in and looked like Joe Montana, and just
Yeah,
carved us up.
that was the night we retired Bruce, I think, and that
Oh,
was a
yep,
crazy night.
yep.
I was
And
amped for
so
that
that
game.
that was, amp two on the Thursday, but that was different. That was a different vibe around that team and organization now than there is going to be, win or lose on that Thursday night game. This place is going to be rocking on Monday. And either way, after 2 years, I think Josh Allen's sick of, hearing about how Derrick Henry's running all over him. He's not even going to make it a contest.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Regardless if I'm in the building or not, if I could sneak away from work or not, I think it's going to be an electric night. We know that it's going to be an electric night, and I think the Bills will sneak out a win for sure. And hopefully, like you said, put it in dominating fashion. Tennessee has been a thorn in our sides, as you said. I think that it's going to be a test for the running game. I think that it'll kind of be, put up or shut up time in respects to all the offseason hype. You know what I mean? We revamped this defensive line once again. Brandon Bean made a lot of changes once again on it and kind of switched it around to make sure that for nights like this, that he'll literally be able to have the
Yeah.
kind of defense that will be a little bit more stout and be able to kind of stand up to a Derrick Henry. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on the
Eight
fact that I think that
eight
it
point
could be a
spread,
win.
seven and a
Yeah,
half point spread in the
yeah,
NFL. I mean,
yeah.
that's about as almost as big as they come.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So as we shift now, we'll shift to week 3, and our buddies down in South Beach. They have been a very interesting bunch to watch, and that's just to say the least. They have a lot of swag down there right now in Miami. It's not really warranted, because they haven't done anything, to be honest. So it's always fun to watch Dolphins fans talk and how they kind of communicate about their team, because it's always in a positive light. But I'm interested to see the Bills week 3 in South Beach. That's literally Josh Allen's second home. It seems like if it wasn't for Charles Clay, it seems like he'd be perfect against the Dolphins. And I think he almost would be. I don't see how they could lose that game. I know that with all the hype that the Bills players have heard about it, DT. I know that they've heard about Tyreek Hill talking, shit about, the defensive backs and different things like that. I just haven't been able to visualize the Bills going down to Miami and losing. It's our second home for sure when it comes for a travel destination for, road games for Bills fans. I see that as a win. I chalk that up as a win. I don't really see a way for them to lose that game.
Yeah, and I look at it, the same way. This team is definitely got a lot better. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive, but the best quarterback in the world's going up against the team he bullies the best,
Hmm.
so it don't
Hmm.
matter how, good they think they're getting. I still don't think it's going to be a contest, especially as we start getting rolling into the season now, whether, we're 2-0 on my side or 1-1 on your side. They're still
Right.
going to be rolling off that momentum win in Tennessee and going down there. And as you stated, the following, in my office, there's 7 guys and 5 of them are going down to South Beach for this game. So
Oh yeah.
to put it just in proportion, it's everybody goes down there. It's
Oh
it's a
yeah,
great
man.
destination. I think a little too early in the year for me to be
Hmm.
down in Florida, but Miami's a good time. But as you go, I think 17 takes care of them again. I don't think, even though they have got a lot better, I think it's going to be a lot more competitive from them, but they're not going to do it against the Bills. They can win their games elsewhere.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm in lockstep with you, and definitely stay cool, Big DT. It's all good, because if it was a December game, then definitely that's literally why it's so perfect of a place to
Yeah.
go, because so many people have friends and family down there in the Florida area, and it's a perfect. But yeah, this is early in the year. It's nice and smoking hot down there for sure. So they'll come down there. They'll stay hydrated. I think they'll get a win. I've got 2-1 for the Bills. You're still at a perfect 3-0. You're living up to all the prophecies. Now, listen, if if you're not scared of Baltimore, here's what I'm going to tell you, a reason that you should be scared of them. Okay. Baltimore week 4 will be on the road, and Lamar Jackson, I would assume that if he's playing football now, I'm not his agent. He's his own agent, and I know his mother is helping him. I'm actually going to try to get somebody on for his DT in the coming weeks to talk about that before the season starts, because it's interesting, that contract situation with Lamar. If he's not paid, I tell him not to play, number one. But I assume that by the start of the season, he's going to get paid, since he has already made it sure and noted that he's cutting off negotiations once the season starts. So I'm assuming we're going to get a big time Lamar Jackson contract come down the pipe. Adam Schefter in the next couple days and or maybe even a week at the most, but I think he's going to get his money. Lamar Jackson is a problem. And the fact that they tailor the offense specifically to his abilities makes it a problem because they completely have leaned in to his whole skill set. In addition to the fact that the amount of injuries that they had last year was
Yeah.
astronomical and they still were competitive until he got hurt. I've got this down as a loss. I would love for you to talk me off of it. You would be at 4-0. This is a loss because of the fact that it's just a lot of different mitigating factors that the Bills are not perfect. I would love to be wrong, but I see this as a loss on the road, man. They were devastated by injuries last year. This is a good team, and they were in it until he got hurt. In my
Lamar
opinion.
Jackson Lamar Jackson hasn't had a good game against Buffalo in his career.
Okay, I hear you.
Some may say Sean McDermott is, found the cheat code to take down Lamar. Obviously, the playoff game was
Mhm.
great, and they did lose in the regular season a couple of years ago against them, but they were up in it when you thought the Ravens really should have ran away with it. So
Right.
I can't talk you off the ledge though.
Same thing with the playoff
Even
game. The
even
playoff
saying
game was touch and go too until
Yep.
it was touch
Even
and go.
saying, I mean, the best kicker in the world missed 2 field goals or 3 field goals
Mhm,
in
mhm.
that, so you got to look at that as well. And I can't talk you off the ledge here. I think
All right.
this is
We'll
loss number one
we'll
in my
drop
book.
you to
It's
3-1.
it's
I
one of
know it hurts.
those. I'll take them again in the playoffs. I'm not scared of them. I think
Right.
that the Bills can definitely beat them, but the way this schedule shakes out, and if I'm going 3-0 on here, it's time for a letdown. There's a lot of energy and a lot of adrenaline rolling, and that 1 o'clock on the road, even though it's not a far travel by any means, I think it's going to be pretty hostile. The Ravens are going to be good again this year, and their fans are right in it as well with the Mafia. So
I'm just
I'm
and
going
I
I'm
agree
going
with you.
loss here. It just works in the schedule. I'm not afraid of this team, but I think in this specific situation, it's going to be tough to beat them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not afraid. Afraid is a word that I'm not going to use for many teams in the NFL besides the boogeyman, because obviously Patrick Mahomes is the boogeyman to me, and I explained that at the end of season one. So, but I am they're well coached. There's really no other way to put it. I was on Jay Spence the King earlier in the off season on his podcast over at Buffalo Rumblings, and we did a coach, you know, rankings, and I mean Harbaugh, he's a top 5 coach to me, and he's consistently a winner. And I just have a lot of respect for the program that he runs, and they've kind of leaned into Lamar. The injuries cannot duplicate themselves. They are sometimes random. Obviously, there is some conditioning that goes into it with it. They will be overall healthier, and I think that they will be somebody to watch when it comes time for the playoffs. Now, next week we've got a week 5 matchup at home against the Steelers. It's one of those classics when it's funny. The Bills are good now, DT, and we're so used to meeting each other, and we'll see each other early in the morning when the sun's rising in the grass lots there early in the morning for a 1 o'clock start. This is the only 1 o'clock start that we've got here at Bills Stadium to start the season, and it's the first one against the Steelers. It is an interesting game. I would put it down as a win because I think that the Bills are better than the Steelers. I think they were embarrassed by the fact that they came out a little bit flat week 1. That was a tough trip for me to take because
Oh
I
yeah.
was really excited for the home opener last year, and then they kind of laid an egg for sure. I think the Bills get their little revenge. I don't know. It doesn't really matter if it's Mitch Trubisky or if it is Pickett, if they decide to go with him. I know he had a nice game the other day in preseason for whatever that's worth in their quarterback competition. But I would chalk this up as a win for the Bills. I think that they're better than the Steelers. Obviously, the Steelers defense always makes it a tough fight. So you always have to respect the fact that they will be in the game. But I'll take my Bills on my ledger to 3-2 with the win at home, 1 o'clock game, the classic Bills game right there at Orchard Park.
Yeah, finally. I gotta wait till October to get into there, and
Yeah.
but it's gonna be great. It's still gonna be decent temperature out there. It's gonna be that, I think, that first taste of a nice cool morning, that fall bliss. The leaves are just starting to move a little bit, and that real football weather. And I can't wait to meet you in the morning and enjoy that as well. But I think you got to chalk this up as a win.
Okay.
With last year, a lot had to go wrong. Even to win that game with the offense really not doing anything. A few big mistakes, a block
Zeke,
punt
yeah.
return for a touchdown. I mean,
Yeah,
a
Zeke.
lot had to go wrong to lose that game, and I think they're better overall. That defensive front's obviously something you gotta deal with, but it's something you game plan against. Quick outs, and and don't let Josh get hit. So I think you chalk that up as a win. It's going to be electric. That 1 o'clock atmosphere is the night games are going to be fun and the top's going to come off, but everyone's used to those one
That's
o'clock
right.
games. You got the routine down and everyone's
Tailgate,
ready to go.
tailgate,
Yep.
everything
Yep.
is kind of the same. The camper lots
Yep.
is filled up. Everybody's doing their thing, and they're back with their crew. So that'll be fun to just kind of get a classic game that we're used to in Western New York, right there at the Ralph. So listen, I mean, it's funny that you've got them at 4-1. I'm only a game behind you at 3-2, but the boogeyman is up on the road, and we're there again. And then all of a sudden, all of the past memories come rushing back. So again, Bills at Chiefs. It seems like a yearly date now, regardless if it's regular season or playoffs or both. What I mean, you take the floor, sir, because I mean, Boogeyman speaks for me, so I think you already
Back
know where I'm
and
leaning.
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My original run through on this is Ravens KC. Ravens KC split. If they beat the Ravens, I think they lose to KC. Vice versa. I I I know we're rolling. I'm not trying to find a loss, but trying to be as realistic as possible with
Please,
myself
that's what the
and
episode's for
with
tonight.
that, as we come over, whatever, even a loss to the Ravens, I think the Steelers win sparks that, on the road. They're going to really take that playoff game personally, obviously. Took
Okay,
care of them in the regular season last year when it was like, there's no way they're going to beat us every single time. I mean, they'll
right.
beat us when it counts, but there's no way they can beat us every single time. And, I think that boogeyman factor starting to fade as much as it's, even with 13 seconds, it's still there, right?
Okay.
But you gotta, I think they take it. I really with the momentum. If I'm taking the Ravens as a loss, I'm taking KC as a win.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm listen, I'm not trying to stand in your way. I am
Yep.
trying to remind you that that the boogeyman, is real for some kids. You know what I mean? So under a certain age bracket, there, you might be able to get away with telling them that there's a monster in the closet under their bed. I choose to be that 7-year-old that, even though I think my dad's joking, I'm not getting up out of the bed. How about that? Because you know what I mean. There might be, and that's just how I'm going to view Kansas City. I am not getting out of the bed when I play them. I'm not getting out of the bed. It's a loss for me on my side. I'm down to 3-3 because of the fact that I do think that I just think that I'm nervous every time 15 gets on the field. And something it's that for whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Like I just have that kind of feeling with him. And 13 seconds, all it did was make it even worse. The regular season game felt so good last year to play against them. In the back of my mind, at the end of it, I still could only talk so much, junk to my KC friends and stuff like that because it was regular season. And yes, it did matter, obviously, in the overall standings for trying to get the 1 seed. But at the time, it didn't affect either's team's, outcome in a negative way. We were both still going to the playoffs. We were both still on our way. That'll probably be true the same for 2022. So for me, until I'm matched up with them in a big time playoff matchup, that I'm and it's all the chips on the table, just like it was for 13 seconds, and obviously the year prior. And I just can't. I just can't. I won't, and I can't, and it's my show, damn it. So I mean, if I want to be scared of the boogeyman, I'm going to stay in the bed with the covers, right over my head. And I've got the Bills down to 3-3. So 5-1. DT only lost to the Ravens on the road.
Yep.
The Bills go to KC, take care of business on your schedule ledger, and that is very impressive. I mean, if that reality is playing out, boy, are we really puffing our chests now
Mm,
as we coming to the final week of that 7-week stretch. Again, it's going to be coming off of the bye for the Bills. You'll have a little break in there between KC and then Halloween. I'll be out there. I'm going to find a way for sure. I'm not missing all the games. I might miss the opener,
okay.
but I'll be out there with my Daryl Talley Spider-Man outfit. Get up on. What do you got, man? Packers. Aaron Rodgers, one of the most arrogant, self-absorbed. It seems like players that we've ever seen of our
This is a
generation in the NFL. He'll be in town, and I'm sure he'll be a show.
this is a weird for sure, for sure. This is a weird game as I look at it. It's a prime time against NFC, who you only see here, obviously once every
4 years,
was
yeah.
it every yeah, and exactly. And coming in and I think I was there the last game when Bills were out of it, and
Yes, I was too.
really,
Bakari Rambo.
yeah,
He
that was a
missed
sick
Jordy
game.
Nelson. Jordy Nelson dropped the ball, right? Or something like
Yep,
that.
yep. And the Bills took it, and that was live. And I had no shot that they were winning that game, right? But Aaron Rodgers coming in, I think the Packers are going to be good a lot. Their defense is solid. Offensively, they got not as many weapons, but I think Aaron Rodgers is deodorant for a lot, and it's a weird game to me.
It
It's a
really
weird
is.
game coming off the bye. You'd like to think, especially with all the momentum, that they're going to come in there and take care of business, but
On your
if
ledger.
this is
On your
yeah,
side.
exactly. But even after the bye, there's a sense of urgency in anything, and
Mhm.
um, I'm gonna put it as a loss. I'm gonna put it as a loss because in one of those, it's more of like a gambling superstition, right? It's everything's gonna be going in the right direction, so I feel like it's gonna just be one of those nights that the Jaguars game of last year, just to catch you in a bad night, and Aaron Rodgers could be the one to do that.
I like that. I'm going to do it for for selfish purposes because I do have them at 13-4, so they don't I think that is a little bit ambitious in the back of my mind. I think that 12-5 is probably a place that you can sit in and feel comfortable that your team's 12-5 and probably has a shot at that number one seed. It might be a little bit tough, but I think the AFC West, with as competitive as we anticipate that it's going to be, I think 12-5 can get it done. So what I'm going to do is hedge my bets and make this a win just so that my prediction can come out, because I didn't, if I had it as a loss and we go to 3-4, WGR is blowing up, all of the the blogs are blowing up, everything is blowing up, and it is really
Yeah,
alert time.
people
And
would be saying
and
some reckless stuff. That's for
yeah,
sure.
people, you would hear some crazy things from
Yeah,
6 a.m. with Howard and Simon all the way through Chopin the Bulldog. You would hear crazy stuff around Western New York. So what I'm going to say is that there would be no way that we'd be running the table at 3-4. And obviously the team you'd have to think about a little bit differently at 3-4. So I'm going to be nice to the Bills right here and go with 4-3, which was the original premise of the episode. How would you take 4-3, Bills fans? I mean, Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew,
mm,
we're all here together. The purpose of this intervention tonight is, again, not to be pessimistic. It is to challenge you to take what is the first thing I ask? Take a look at your schedule. And if you look at the opponents that we're playing, specifically those first 7 games, it's not a cakewalk. Now, when you get past that, it does open up. It clears up, I mean, considerably and quick. I'll be honest with you. You've got the Jets
mm,
on the road. You've got the Vikings at home. Then we're going to be welcoming, the Deshaun Watson-less, Browns to town. The
mm.
Lions on Thanksgiving. The Patriots, who, we don't know who's even calling their plays at this point. The Jets again. Then we'll finish up with the Dolphins, Bears, Bengals. Obviously, will be a tough matchup, and that's where I was putting my other loss for them at 13-4, and then the Patriots. So the team that you think that we are going to be, it's really going to be told in the first 7 games of the season. DT, like
Yeah,
you're going to have like pretty much all the information that you need to know about this team. Now, obviously, we can't forecast injuries, we can't forecast different things like that, but the actual crux of the team, that's a large enough sample size. It's almost a half a season, and you've got the bye week thrown in there as well, so you got your rest. You're going to know at the end of that Green Bay game pretty much what this team is going to be, and if we've got a
yeah.
real shot at this thing, and you'll feel great about it. Obviously, if you're 7-0 or 6-1 or even 5-2, I would be elated if we were 5-2. 4-3, 3-4. You,
Mm. Three
eh,
and four, I think, is the line where you would start to flutter, right? But even at 4-3, you beat out of those on that 7 game stretch, you beat four solid teams, So
mhm,
even at 4-3, it's not panic mode. I think 3-4 would be. 5-2 is okay. We're doing what we got to do, and anything better than that, 6-1, 7-0
oh,
is
gravy, yeah,
we're
absolutely,
a problem. This might be,
yeah.
a type of best team in history type
Oh
situation. If
gosh,
if that's
DT.
the
Oh
case,
gosh,
at,
DT.
at
I can leave
seven
it to
at
you for
seven
the
and
hyperbole.
and with that schedule. But I'm just saying the waves of emotion and what you would be feeling.
Absolutely, I'm
At
teasing
7-0,
you.
I feel like that's definitely a vibe. And even to the 4-3. I don't think there's panic or anything set in. So I think I'm all right with the 4-3. I'm staying with
See,
my
the
five
problem
and
with four and
two.
three for me is that if 13-4 was my prediction, you can only lose 1 game out of 10. You gotta go
Yeah,
9 and
yeah,
1 the rest of the way, and
yeah.
as much as we love the Bills, if we're how the hell can I have an intervention and call an intervention a Mafia intervention tonight, and then I'm gonna say that we'll go 9 and 1 the rest of the way? Like, my prediction is you know what I mean? Like, my
Yeah, hey,
prediction is pretty
everybody,
much
just
shot to
so
hell.
you know, yeah,
Again, I
I
tell you
got you.
in the back of my mind, I think that 12 and 5, can get it done. I am a little bit worried about committing to that as my goal for the 2022 Bills, just because I don't know if it's going to be enough. I want the number 1 seed because of how badly
Got to.
it looked that it mattered last year, and
Yeah,
it really mattered in the end that we were playing that game in Kansas City, that we were even playing Kansas City, all of those different types of things. We saw Tennessee's road, the whole entire shift of the actual playoff seeding gets moved around if again a couple of different games go our way, because all of our key losses, it seemed like, were all AFC losses. So having said that, I think that it's important for Bills fans to keep it realistic. We're not going, if I'm 4-3, I'm no longer expecting the Bills after 7 games to go 9 and 1 down the stretch. Now they could, and they could look like they did a couple years ago until it was just we were just a rolling train until Hail Murray. I mean, that's what it was, and I understand, but it's hard to win consecutive games in this league. It's hard to be one of the teams that just kind of rattles off 5, 6, 7, 8 straight. Like that's a big deal. So in my scenario, I look at the Bills probably finishing up around 12 and 5 or so. I think that they have an opportunity to really, take advantage of some weaker teams in that
mhm.
last, 10 games. I do think that's definitely possible out of the last 10 that they go 8-2 or maybe even 9 and 1. But it's just not that easy all the time to win those kind of consecutive games. That's all I mean.
It's not, and you look this year, the division, added a lot of players into it. That's going to make
Mhm.
them better, and the Bills have been dominating this division. I think it's also just time of probability that you might drop a division game that you took for granted the past couple of years, and that's why I stick with that 5-2 in the first 7 because of like you said, it's hard to go 9-1, 8-2, and you might drop that division game. I think is going to lurk around the corner, get you late in the season, and can't cost you by dropping one in the early part of the year for that 1 seed. So I really I'm excited, but trying to be as realistic as possible. And I think that's my boogeyman of the year. I think somebody in the division is going to take us that we took for granted. Just 1 game, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't know
mean,
where it is, but
yeah.
it's coming.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the point of this is that like if you listen, if I'm not trying to again, I'm not trying to rain on everybody's parade. If you think the Bills are going to go 15-2, and you think that they're going to be one of the greatest shows that we've ever seen in the NFL, and obviously most recently in modern history, then that's fine. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from you and make you out to be more pessimistic of a fan. I I I I, I marvel at those types of fans because of the fact that every single season the schedule release is one of my favorite times of years. It's literally obviously when I plan my fall and winters with going up to the games and different things like that. And then in addition to the fact that one of my favorite pastimes, so to speak, is going through the schedule, DT, and like literally, okay, win, loss. And when I do that, when the first schedule comes out, I'm always doing it based on what happened last year. And I'm always doing it based on what I think of my team. And I'm always pessimistic on those. I'm always like, okay, that's okay. Well, maybe that would be
Well,
enough.
yeah, you
I
got to
want
be
at the end of it,
conservative, to
I
be
want at the end of it,
because
yes. I wanted
because
at
you
the end
want
of
to
it.
yeah, you want to justify. You want to justify. All right, worst case scenario, we're still
Yes.
here.
That's it. Worst case
Worst case
scenario, we
scenario,
are
we're
10 and
still
6,
here.
and we've got to be,
Yeah,
during the drought.
yeah,
Okay, well,
hmm
10 and 6, and we're still probably in the hunt,
hmm
and we've got a shot. We've got to look at it more than likely if we can just stay in this damn thing by Thanksgiving. And like, how many years in the drought are we stuck on the in the hunt screen and we're just watching and and it used to suck, because we had to have 16 different things. I'm being, obviously I'm exaggerating, but we had to have like 4 different guys
yeah.
lose every single week, and everything had to work out right just for us to get a shot at it. And then sometimes we didn't even pull our own weight. So like this team is not that team. We've already discussed that. This is a really, really good team. It could go 14-3. We could go 15-2. You might have that team on your hand. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that we stay and give some type of respect to the rest of the league. That that the Rams are a real team. They just won the damn championship. Tennessee is a real opponent. And there's so much of a real opponent. They beat you guys, regardless if Josh slipped, went the wrong way, was supposed, like we all understand that circumstances happen, but stuff happens in football games. So that's the whole point, is that stuff could happen in the Miami game. Maybe we go down to Miami and we're 2-0 and we just have and we're just real ticked off at Tyreek Hill, and maybe, you know what I mean? And somebody's doing some press coverage and all of a sudden he does, one of those peace signs again. And it's 7-0 Miami after the first drive. And you know what I mean? Like, and then Josh and them and the offense go 3 and out. and then it just leads to an overall bad day where
Mhm.
we didn't bring our
Yeah,
best. They were
you're right.
on it. They were hyped up. Like, you know
You
what I
got to
mean? Like,
respect this league. You got to
you really
respect
do.
this league,
You
and
really do.
especially, I mean, these teams now. It feels in the last couple of years, maybe we just noticing it more because we're at the top, and looking at these teams as peers as much as they're it's just a team. Hopefully, we beat. We're looking at them as peers and better than them, and so we got a closer eye on it. But it seems like teams are really gearing up. They're signing the free agents. They're really trying to make a push, and that's the goal, obviously, at the end of the day. So. But a lot of good teams out there, and you're right. You got to give credit to this league. It's easy to get in our own little mafia corner and hype each other up, and which we have right to do. But you do have to respect this league because it can bite you at any time. Any team in this league, as we saw last year, Jacksonville taking down the Bills. Stuff like that happens all the time. So definitely agree. Got to take it seriously.
Yeah, you do, and like it's important to just kind of keep perspective. And again, I was trying to provide that today, just as we approach preseason. To me, is over. And I'm so happy that the Bills stayed relatively healthy. Again, I hope that the safeties stay healthy throughout the season and get back to speedy recovery, so that way they're ready to go for week one. But I'm really excited about all of it, to be honest. And again, this was all just more of an exercise of, if you look at your schedule like I do in the beginning of the year, obviously so many things have happened since the schedule release, and we got Von Miller and different things like that. I'm in agreement that this is a great team. Like 13-4 is a hell of a record. Like, that's a great record. To be 12-5 is even now, with the 17th game, I consider a great record. It's just tougher, and it's not going to be. One of the things that I think that everybody needs to realize is that every year is its own entity. I always say that as one of my principles because it's so important. It's what drives the frustration for me, DT, from last season, is that you don't promise yourself every opportunity year to year. It doesn't just come because you have done it. And I gave examples of Dan Marino and Rodgers only 1-1. And I say only, but you know what I mean by that. Like a ultra talented quarterback and doesn't get back, he doesn't get a chance to win another one for Marino. Like, all those types of things are true. So if you take every year within itself, there is momentum that carries over, but then there's just some weird shit that happens year to year. Like, the ball's going to bounce differently sometimes year to year, and that's just like it turns out to be the story of that season. Like, nobody thought that the Bengals were going to be able to beat the Chiefs, and like nobody even thought that they would be in that position. The coach had just won like 3 games the year before, so like we don't know who the surprise team's going to be this year. I just want everybody to understand that, like, we're not invincible. We look damn good. And those 7 games, you should have a great idea of your team. If we're 5-2, I think everything is still on the table. Like, we should go get the 1 seed and win the Super Bowl. If we're at 4-3, I or God forbid 3-4, which I could easily do, I could have another loss. I don't know. I would feel totally different than I felt right now. Starting the season.
Yeah, I, I, I'm not even gonna listen to 3-4 anymore. I don't think you should think that. We're off 3-4.
Oh, we
I'll give
off
you the
that.
4-3. I'll give you the 4-3.
DT is laying
But
the law. He said that's as much as I'm gonna take. No more
we
blasphemy.
can't do 3-4. We can't.
Oh
Four
my
and
goodness, I
three
love it.
and up. 4-3 and up. But we got it. Well, it'll play out, man. It'll play
Yeah, man,
out,
it will
and
play off, and
week
that's
September
part of the
8th
fun.
is
Yeah,
really, I think they're gonna set the tone for everything, obviously. But
yeah. Listen,
if
I
they
hope
come
I'm
out there
wrong.
and these young guys are keeping up and really showing their stuff and hitting hard, and the defensive line is meaner than we thought, and Josh is just looking like he usually does, where that's gonna be okay. Yeah, we're back and here we go. And that game could obviously, there's a lot of ways that game could go, but it's
No,
lights
I
out.
agree. I agree. I'm in a situation where I want to make sure that I'm tempered as much as possible. I do recognize that this team is really great, and I do embrace it. It's so much fun to follow a team that's good, other than, as opposed to the drought Bills. And that was not much fun at all, trying to work yourself up into a frenzy over a team that you knew at best was 8-8 material, 9-7 in your wildest dreams. And it's hard to get amped up for it. It's hard to keep the optimism for it. And that's really what makes, again, Bills fans special, because we've been supporting this team every step of the way throughout the drought. So happy that it's over. I do give, Sean McDermott a lot of hard times, but I am happy that he's here. Obviously, I love Brandon Bean. And again, he kind of just showed something today, just with recouping an asset for something that, a mistake that that they made, that it's evaluation, it's the draft, which is why, in my opinion, I follow that Shope theory. Don't trade up in the draft because nobody knows what the hell is going to happen with these guys. So just pick the best guy when you're in your slot and only trade up if you got to go get a quarterback. But, it just shows how Brandon Bean just kind of wizards this roster around, and all of a sudden Von Miller's on the team, and now he's campaigning for OBJ. And I don't even want to think about what would happen then, because I definitely would be changing my predictions if we had another receiver like that out there in the field. But who knows? Maybe Shakir is going to be something crazy. Maybe, Gabe Davis is getting ready to take it to a level that we've never seen. So I'm really excited about the team. I look at this schedule, and there's just a clear line of demarcation with right after the bye week, the week 8, I guess, matchup it would be against the Green Bay Packers in the 7th game of the season for us. I think that's where you'll know most of what you need to know about the 2022 Bills.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
Yes, nothing else to say, man. Listen. As always, man, please spread love, not hate. These were my Bills thoughts said out loud. Give me a Go Bills, DT, official co-host. Let's sign this off, man. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Go Bills. What a night.